Coming up on today's episode of Airborne Unlimited, Airbus applies to patent their high-speed helicopter. A question arises, will registered drone owners be identified? TSA security chief loses his job. I'm Bree Cross. Welcome to Airborne on Aero-TV. As we are finishing up production of Airborne, a late-breaking story hit our newsroom. Jim Campbell reports.
Thanks, Bree. Hi, folks. Well, the other shoe has dropped at Icon. After questions that we put to them last night, for some reason or another, Icon decided to speak up with a press release and a very limited access press conference or phone conference that occurred today that, well, we weren't invited to, nor were there a lot of the other aviation press, at least anybody that had given them any criticism whatsoever. However, this is what we know for now, and be advised we're looking at these things very carefully, and there will be further analysis. There will be a significant reduction in the 2016 aircraft production. What was supposed to be 175 over the next year is now cut down to 20, i.e. a year delay. They're shifting whatever production they are doing to a limited number of flight training airplanes. They're quoting a major reduction in cost structure and workforce, i.e. laying people off. They are promising revisions to the purchase agreement for which they received so much criticism, justly. And somehow they're inferring that there's going to be an infusion of new capital. What it basically means is they were out of money. It means also, based on the information that was presented, that they really don't have a clue yet as to how to do production on this airplane. They're claiming that it's harder than they thought. Well, harder than they thought, a month or two in what should have been a production run, because we've been looking at Twitter for weeks and they're talking about we're in production. Well, it's too late. If they didn't know this now, when they should have known this a year ago, something is deeply wrong. And again, Icon is now trying to pick and choose who they talk to. They're trying to limit access to what it is really happening, and they're using a lot of flowery language, basically saying it ain't so bad. Folks, it is bad. How bad, we don't know. Whether or not this company can survive, we don't know. But the plain fact of the matter is this. Icon is in trouble. They've admitted part of it. And I think over the next few weeks and months, we're going to learn a lot more, especially since a number of customers have popped up and they're starting to use the L word. Yes, lawyers are being called. We'll give you more analysis when we've had a chance to do a deep dive on this. We're digging pretty carefully. We'll let you know. For the Aero-News Network, Airborne, and Aero-TV, I'm Jim Campbell. Still hoping for the best, but not so much.
Airbus has filed a patent on an advanced version of its Eurocopter X3, which set an unofficial speed record of 263 knots in 2013. In order for a patent to stand, the filing must be detailed and specific as it relates to the concepts of the item to be patented. Here's a few excerpts to show you what we mean. The patent abstract indicates that the, quote, invention relates to a compound helicopter comprising a fuselage, at least one engine, and a main rotor driven by said at least one engine. It also uses terms to define the wings as, quote, being mounted in an essentially horizontal plane on the left-hand and right-hand sides of the fuselage, and horizontally oriented propulsion devices are mounted to each said fixed wing. Obviously, lawyers write the application for a patent, not design engineers. The X3 was, of course, a concept aircraft. Whether it makes it all the way through to certification and production is still very much an open question, but through a patent, Airbus has protected the concept. On Monday of this week, we reported that the FAA would be releasing information regarding registered drone owners limited to city, state, and zip code, but with no name or address information. Now, according to analyst John Goglia, the FAA may actually be releasing the names and addresses of people who have registered their UAVs on their database, including children as young as 13 years old. Writing for Forbes, Goglia says that while the FAA said in a news release last week that it would not be posting those names and addresses, it said otherwise in December in its facts about drone registry. According to the report, when contacted by Goglia in December, the FAA said the information would be accessible online by registration number, which is required to be attached to the aircraft. So the question of whether such information will be publicly available is still open. Time apparently will tell which statement is accurate. After the break, Congress questions bonus given to TSA security chief.
There's a difference between charting a steady course and pushing for the ceiling. And for nearly a century, Hartzell Propeller has been defining that difference. It's in our passion for engineering and research and our dedication to testing the limits of performance. We are built on honor. We our Hartzell propeller.
Redbird is quickly becoming the industry standard for flight training. Since Redbird introduced its revolutionary FMX in 2007, colleges, universities, and flight training operations around the world have integrated Redbird products into their curriculum. It's time to discover what Redbird can do for you. Join the migration.
Welcome back. If you have a story suggestion for Airborne Unlimited, Aero-TV, our website or podcast, just email to news-spy@aero-news.net. The head of security for TSA has been removed from his job, in part because of long security lines at airports that have been shown on TV and posted on YouTube. Kelly Hoggan was let go on Monday as part of a broader shakeup of the agency. TSA Administrator Peter Neffenger announced that Darby LaJoye, who has led security operations at both JFK and LAX, would be replacing Hoggan immediately. But the security lines weren't Hoggan's only issue. Earlier this month, at a hearing held by the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, members expressed outrage over a $90,000 bonus paid to Hoggan even after reports of systemic problems with security at airports came to light. According to Neffenger, the TSA and DHS are now establishing a national command center at TSA headquarters in Washington, D.C., which will, quote, closely track daily screening operations, shifting officers, canine resources, the National Deployment Force, and other resources to meet mission demands in advance of predicted passenger volume. It's Thursday, which means that it's time for an Aero Community Update. However, today our report is not about a member of the Aero community, it's about the Aero community itself. The Aero community is what we call our Airborne Partnership Initiative. The Airborne Partnership Initiative is a plan developed by ANN CEO and Editor-in-Chief Jim Campbell to build a synergistic, industry-wide aviation aerospace news program. Our aim is to grow this program to include a significant portion, if not a majority, of the aviation world's pivotal organizations, interests, and viewpoints. However, to make all this happen, we can't do it alone, and that's where the word partnership comes into play. Our intent is to make this a collaborative effort by choosing to partner with the best and brightest among aviation's organizations, communities, and other pivotal entities. By doing this, Airborne can help to build a bigger, better, more comprehensive audience for all things aviation, and also start to make a dent in getting solid aviation news and information produced in formats and venues where it has not had the greatest exposure outside of the aviation spectrum. By working together in a partnership, we can offer a united front to the rest of the world, aviation and non-aviation alike, which will yield a more organized and professional view of aviation to all those viewing it through the auspice of Airborne Unlimited. The Aero community members we present every Thursday in our Airborne Unlimited program are the heart of the Airborne Partnership Initiative. After these messages, the EASA certifies Gulfstream G650ER.
Concorde's recombinant gas RG series sealed battery technology produces a high-performance battery with the advantages of being pre-tested and fully charged at the factory. Find out more about Concorde's entire line of batteries at www.concordebattery.com. Concorde, the heart of your aircraft.
Sandia introduces the new SAI 340 Quattro TSO'd airspeed, attitude, altitude, and slip with integral backup battery. Safety never looked so good. See it now at www.sandia.aero.
Welcome back. With so much news coming out of the aviation industry, we're summarizing some other interesting stories in a brief segment we call Around the Patch. The Embraer E-Jets E2 program reached another important milestone this week with the first flight of the E190 E2 taking place ahead of schedule. The flight was originally scheduled to occur during the second half of this year. Is this a case of do as I say, not as I do? Actor Leonardo DiCaprio traveled on a private jet from Cannes, France to New York and back to receive an award for his monetary donation to his foundation supporting environmental causes. Hilton Software has won MediaPost Appy Award 2016 in the Mapping Location-Based category for WingX Pro 7 for iOS. The award was presented by MediaPost Communications, one of the largest media, marketing, and advertising publishers and conference promoters in the nation. A Canadian woman was fatally injured last month during a base jump from the Perrine Bridge in Idaho when her parachute failed to deploy. Investigators found damage to her parachute rig that was likely the cause of the parachute failure. Well, that's the trip around the patch. Now let's move on to the rest of the news. EAA and Old Glory Honor Flight are working together to make the 4th annual Yellow Ribbon Honor Flight a part of EAA AirVenture 2016. This event will take place on Friday, July 29th, departing early in the morning from Whitman Regional Airport and returning early that evening following the afternoon air show. Yellow Ribbon Honor Flight 4 is a special flight for Vietnam-era veterans to travel to Washington, D.C. to tour memorial sites such as the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall and Arlington National Cemetery. The return ceremony is part of the Friday AirVenture Salute to Veterans Day, giving the crowd of thousands gathered in Boeing Centennial Plaza a chance to welcome these veterans home, an honor most of these servicemen did not receive upon their return from the war. Old Glory Honor Flight will be taking online registrations June 1st through the 30th, with veterans selected via a lottery process in early July. Yellow Ribbon Honor Flight 4 is presented in cooperation with American Airlines. Well, that's our program for today. Remember to get comprehensive real-time 24/7 coverage of the latest aviation and aerospace stories anytime at aero-news.net. Remember that Airborne Unlimited is streamed daily Monday through Friday with additional breaking news bulletins for important stories that fall outside of our normal deadlines. Please join us and a growing roster of over 100 outstanding industry associations and organizations every weekday for the best in aviation and aerospace news from the staff of the Aero-News Network, the aviation world's most comprehensive news and information resource.